Alright, so today we're going to play with a couple small lawn tractors. This one specifically is the John Deere 544J front loader. It's got the PowerTech 6.8 liter diesel in it. It's a 6068 HDW56 engine. So with that, your radiator is back here in the cooling compartment. It's not that one. That's fluid cooler right there, and a fluid cooler right there. The radiator sits right there in that open cavity. So some of the mounting for it is pretty self-evident. You have all these down here for the inner clamshell. There'll be one bolt right here. If you loosen up this fluid cooler with the 4 bolts that hold it down, you can lift it up just enough to get that bolt loose while pushing forward on the radiator, loosen it out so you don't run into the fins of this fluid cooler. From there, on the opposing side, I'll slide over there real quick. You can see there are 8 more bolts to take out, and that's for the outer clamshell. So you have 2, 4, 6, and 8. Once those come off, clamshell is loose, radiator is no longer attached to the vehicle. However, you also have bolts on the clamshell itself that hold the clamshell to the radiator. I'll show you those and explain why we care about them. Next is your expansion tank, your overflow reservoir. Got to take this out on the inside of your engine bay firewall. Have 4 15mm bolts. Those come out. This upper tube you take off from the back of the expansion tank once you've unbolted it. And you should have to take this steam port off that goes down to the radiator. As you can see, this one's been converted to Bluetooth wood technology. It's wood wicks water. I'm sure it works fine. I mean, it wouldn't be there if it didn't work, right? So come down, look at the radiator, and here's what the radiator looks like. Obviously the clamshells are loose. As you can see, the outer perimeter bolts hold this side of the clamshell on. They're literally identical. They are symmetrical. So you could flip one, flop one, and still be good to go. All the bolt holes will line up. Things to take note: the radiator is going to come out, and you're going to have to tilt the radiator on its side in order to get it out. Remove this cover. This bolt right here can just be loosened. It does have a slot in the firewall cover and the access panel, and then those 3 just loosen, but these 3 have to come out, then it can slide out. So oftentimes it's just easier to just take that one out so it's not in the way. And then the drain pepcock on the bottom of the radiator, make sure you open it fully, i.e. screw it all the way in, because you'll notice as you try to take it out, it's going to come in contact with your fluid cooler line right here. This way you don't end up scratching it. Granted, it is brass, but it's still metal. You don't have to replace another line. So to get the clamshells off, you're going to have to get them off in place while it's still inside of the cavity. And with that, you have 8 bolts, 4 on each side. These ones here, the lower ones, and then obviously the exact same thing on the opposing side. And then down the bottom. So once those 4 bolts are out, you got your supply hose and your return hose off, and then your expansion tank hose, the small one right here. You got those off, you just tuck those hoses out of the way. I'll show you how to do that really quick. They're literally, here's my supply hose, fits right under it. Then there's my return hose, just tucked in just enough to give me all the room that I need. Last thing you have to do is you notice there's a lip right here on each one of these. You just take a screwdriver, put it in there, pop it out just over the lip. Oh, there's one. Still good. Made in America. Once you pop it out on the top and the bottom, you can easily just wedge these off. If you do not take these clamshells off, you cannot get the radiator out. There's not enough room with the width of the clamshell to fit through this area. And if you do not take this off, then your return to the radiator, it'll pass down, but when you try to turn this angle, it has to have a place to go. But your supply down here, inlet, it will not come past this area without taking this panel out and turning it sideways. You'll notice it'll get caught right here. You just have to push your hose down a little bit slide it out, turn it sideways, pull it out. And then putting it back in is just reverse. So we got a brand new one in the crate. And from what I understand, the brand new ones shouldn't leak. And the brand new one is already bolted, already has new clamshells on it. I know I have to take those off in order to get it in there properly, but that's the way it is. If you got any questions, comments, I guess some concerns, post them down below. Let me know. I would say anything else you want to see, but I'm not taking this thing apart if it doesn't need it. The last thing potentially is that pump, what type of impeller it has, if it's ever been replaced. Based on the paint on the bolt heads, I'm gonna say it's an original, so let's hope that it's not a composite one and I have to replace it later, and that it simply overheated because there's very evident holes in the radiator. That's not from me overfilling it, that's from me simply filling up the radiator to see where it was leaking from, and at that point it was pointless to try and fix that without just replacing the whole thing. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.